Next problem that I want to look at, let me see, I have 16, 17. 17 not too bad. Well, y-intercept is not too bad because, when you substitute to find a y-intercept, you substitute 0 for x. That's easy to solve in that case because 0 squared is 0. So therefore, your y-intercept would be 0, comma, negative 20. Now, the x-intercept for this problem itself is a little bit, might be a little bit tricky if you're not used to using your radical. So we have 0, substitute 0 for y, so 0 is equal to x squared minus 20. You move 20 to the other side, so you have 20 is equal to x squared. Therefore, x is equal to the square root of 20. Now, to simplify the square root of 20, we say two numbers, we multiply, and don't forget, plus or minus the square root of 20. Two numbers we multiply to get 20. One must be a perfect square. So I'm going to rewrite this as plus or minus the square root of 4 times 5. So my answer is going to be plus or minus square root of 4 is 2. And I'm left with radical 5. Now, one thing I want to mention to you guys that our intercept does include 0. So if the question, even though this is a value for x is equal to, then Alex normally wants you to write it as points. So we're going to have your first x would be 2 radical 3, comma 0. 2 radical 5, comma 0. That's one of them. And then your second point would be negative 2 radical 5, comma 0. All right, let me see which other one. Integral of the function g is shown. What's the domain? So this, in this sense, it's not, the graph is like an S, but it stops here and it stops here. So it's not, your domain is not going to be all real numbers. So it's going to be at a point where it stops. For example, and then how you write it as interval notation makes a difference. Because if you notice right at this point, your x value is going to be negative 3. But because it has a closed circle, that means your domain is going to be a bracket. So that would be negative 3. And then the other x value is right here. But that's an open circle. And it stops at 2. So therefore, it's going to be comma 2. That takes a parenthesis. You follow the same suit with your range. It meets the range at 4 right here. It's a closed circle, so it's bracket. Oh, you know what? We always try to write it with, started with a negative. So I'm looking at this point instead for my y. Always start with a negative point and then a positive point. That's just a rule for math, but it's no biggie. But Alex sort of like will put it incorrect. I'm just going to write it to the side here. If you write it like this, 4, comma, negative 5. All right, what they want to see is... What I want to see is that you know that you always mathematically start from your 0 on the number line. That takes a parenthesis because it's an open circle. And then to 4. Bracket, close circle. All right, question number 19. Right answer in interval notation. Not too bad. We don't need the numerator when we're trying to find the domain. We just need the denominator because we want to say t cannot be equal to what number? In this case, if t is equal to 4, it will make the function undefined. So if you're not sure, then set it up. T minus 4 is equal to 0. Therefore, t cannot be equal to 4. How do you write it in interval notation? Parenthesis, comma, infinity, negative infinity, comma, Okay, so how do we write this in interval notation? Well, one way is some people might just want to create a number line to visually see it. And then, for your number line, you have 0. This side is your negative infinity. This side is your positive infinity. We know it cannot be equal to 4. So if we were to say this is 4, then we're going from here, coming to here. Once it gets here, parentheses, and continue to infinity. All right, but how do we write that? We say parentheses, negative infinity, comma 4, parentheses, union, parentheses 4, comma infinity. And last but not least, number 20, because it is a radical, we have to write it in a sense. We can't just say 0 is equal to square root of x plus 7. But what we do is write it as an inequality. So we need to say the square root of x plus 7 cannot be greater than or equal to 0. All right, so how do we solve? We say x plus 7 greater than or equal to 0. X must be greater than or equal to negative 7. If you put that on the number line, you look for your negative 7. It would be on this side of your 0. So then we're saying all the numbers that we need. It could include negative 7, but it has to be greater than, so it's going that way. Writing the interval notation is just bracket, negative 7, but it's adding to infinity. All right, hopefully this will be helpful to you guys. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.